50 kilometers north of Dublin, an ancient marvel rises from the Irish landscape. Newgrange, a 200,000-ton masterpiece, predates Stonehenge and the pyramids, its construction so precise that its interior has remained watertight for over 5,000 years. Encircled by massive, intricately carved stones, this passage tomb isn't just a relic, it's a testament to the brilliance of Neolithic engineers. But the real magic happens on December 21st. As the winter solstice dawns, a beam of sunlight pierces the entrance, traveling down a perfectly aligned passage to illuminate the inner chamber in a burst of golden light. A feat of astronomy, engineering, and timekeeping so precise, even modern architects would struggle to replicate it. Who built this? How did they do it? And what secrets does it still hold? Let's find out. To construct something on this scale, a massive workforce would have been needed. Archaeologists estimate that 400 workers labored for at least 30 years to move and shape the materials, and these weren't conveniently located stones waiting to be stacked. They were dragged from distances as far as 114 kilometers away. Some came from Wicklow Mountains, other from County Down, and still more from the Cooley Mountains. These people didn't have wheels or metal tools. They relied on pure manpower, wooden rollers, and sledges to haul multi-ton boulders across Ireland's rugged terrain. Finding the stones was one challenge. Carving them with intricate spirals, geometric patterns, and abstract symbols was another. Without written records, the meaning of these carvings remains a mystery. Some believe they represent solar and lunar cycles. Others think they are spiritual symbols connected to the afterlife. What's clear is that these weren't random scratches. They were deliberate, measured, and likely held deep significance for those who made them. Inside the tomb, the design is even more sophisticated. The 19-meter-long passage leading to the central chamber is lined with precisely stacked slabs, fitted so expertly that no mortar was needed. Massive capstones, each weighing several tons, formed a corbelled roof that has remained intact for over 5 millennia. It doesn't leak. It doesn't shift. It holds steady as if frozen in time. This level of craftsmanship wasn't just functional, it was intentional. The solstice alignment is what sets Newgrange apart. Plenty of ancient sites align with celestial events, but few do so with such mathematical precision. Whoever designed this didn't just observe the sun, they tracked it for generations, marking its movements and calculating the exact spot where its rays would pierce the tomb at dawn on the shortest day of the year. This wasn't coincidence. This was knowledge passed down, refined, and then set in stone. But what kind of society could produce something this advanced? Clues lie in the surrounding landscape. The Boyne Valley is home to more than 40 ancient tombs, including Noath and Douth, which share architectural similarities with Newgrange. This wasn't an isolated structure, it was part of a network, a civilization that valued tradition, ritual, and the passage of time. These people were farmers, but not simple ones. They cultivated land, raised livestock, and built permanent settlements. They had time to observe the stars, develop advanced construction techniques, and organize labor on a massive scale. This wasn't survival, this was culture. And then, suddenly, they vanished. Around 2500 BC, the builders of Newgrange disappeared. Their monumental tomb was sealed, abandoned, and eventually forgotten beneath layers of earth. No records explain why. Did they migrate? Were they wiped out by disease, war, famine? Did a new culture arrive, replacing their traditions with different ones? The mystery remains. By the time Newgrange was rediscovered in 1699, no one remembered who had built it. For centuries, myths swirled around the site. The Tuatha De Danann, Ireland's mythical race of godlike beings, were said to have constructed it. Others believed it was the burial site of Dagda, a powerful deity in Irish mythology. Even today, some locals refer to Newgrange as Si An Baru, the fairy mound, a place where time bends and spirits roam. Dragging multi-ton stones across rugged landscapes without modern tools sounds impossible. Yet the builders of Newgrange did exactly that. Stones from as far as 114 kilometers away were transported using a combination of timber rollers, ropes, and sheer human strength. Some researchers believe they even sailed the stones along the Irish Sea, then navigated up the River Boyne, cutting down on the grueling land transport. But there was still one final challenge, the last kilometer. That stretch was uphill, requiring an enormous effort to haul massive stones to their final resting place. This was a nationwide project in Neolithic terms, uniting distant regions for a single goal. The commitment wasn't limited to transportation. Organizing 400 workers for decades, feeding them, keeping them healthy, and ensuring the work continued generation after generation was an achievement on its own. The builders not only moved stones, but also shaped them, engraving swirling patterns onto their surfaces. These mysterious carvings, still visible today, suggest a connection to the stars, the seasons, or even spiritual beliefs. What was their true meaning? Scholars still debate this, but one thing is clear. Every detail was intentional. That brings up the real question. Why go through all this trouble? One theory ties Newgrange to the winter solstice. For a farming society, this was a life or death moment each year. The longest night of the year meant the return of longer days, a sign that warmth and crops would come again. The precise alignment of Newgrange with the solstice sunrise wasn't just a coincidence. This could have been a sacred moment, a reassurance from the sky itself that the cycle of life would continue. Another idea suggests something even deeper. Newgrange was a tomb, filled with the remains of the dead. That beam of light piercing the chamber on the solstice? It might have been more than just a natural event. It could have symbolized the souls of the dead ascending to another realm, a final farewell as they left the world behind. This wasn't just about honoring ancestors, it was about guiding them. Some researchers believe the site also acted as a massive solar calendar, tracking the movements of the sun with remarkable precision. This would have helped early farmers plan their planting and harvesting seasons with greater accuracy. Others think it was a place of rituals and ceremonies, possibly led by a ruling class of priests or astronomers who understood the cycles of the sky better than anyone else. Then there's the more controversial perspective. What if Newgrange isn't as ancient as we think? Most archaeologists firmly believe Newgrange was built around 3200 BC, but some scholars have challenged this. Michael Gibbons, a well-known archaeologist, has argued that parts of Newgrange, especially the famous roof box that lets in the solstice light, might not be original at all. He suggests it could have been added accidentally during 20th century restorations, and his theory doesn't stop there. Gibbons believes Newgrange may have been significantly modified during the Roman era, rather than being a purely Neolithic structure. This idea isn't mainstream, but it does raise questions. We know the Romans visited Ireland, even though they never conquered it. Artifacts from the Hiberno-Roman period have been found at the site, suggesting it was still in use thousands of years after its original construction. Could the Romans have repurposed Newgrange for their own rituals? Did they rebuild parts of it? Or was it a continuously evolving site, adopted by different cultures over time? The debate continues, but one thing is certain. Newgrange wasn't abandoned right away. Over the centuries, new groups left their mark. Around 2500 BC, a wave of settlers known as the Beaker people arrived in Ireland. These newcomers, known for their distinctive pottery, didn't just take over the land, they changed its culture. Genetic studies suggest they almost completely replaced the original builders of Newgrange within a few hundred years. But they didn't destroy the site. Instead, they added to it. By 2200 BC, a large wooden enclosure had been built around the monument, possibly for new rituals or gatherings. Later, this was replaced by a circle of standing stones, some of which remain today. However, by 2000 BC, construction stopped. For reasons unknown, Newgrange gradually faded from importance. Even as Ireland's Iron Age Celts arrived, the site was already ancient. The Celts visited, possibly even respected it, but they didn't expand on it. Then, sometime around the 5th century AD, everything changed. Christianity arrived, and with it came a shift in beliefs. The old pagan monuments, once sacred, were now seen as relics of a forgotten time. Newgrange was abandoned, buried beneath centuries of earth and forgotten by history. For over 1,000 years it lay hidden. Farmers grazed their cattle on top of it, unaware of the vast structure beneath their feet. It wasn't until 1699 that Newgrange was rediscovered, by accident. Landowner Charles Campbell, needing building stones for his estate, ordered workers to dig into the mound. What they uncovered shocked them. Instead of loose stones, they found a passage leading into darkness, lined with massive carved slabs. News spread quickly. Edward Elwood, a Welsh scholar and friend of Isaac Newton, rushed to document the find. His letters became the first written records of Newgrange in modern times. Over the next 200 years, archaeologists, historians, and treasure hunters explored the site. Some came to study. Others came with wild theories. Early visitors, unwilling to believe the Neolithic Irish could have built something so advanced, claimed the Vikings or even the Egyptians must have been responsible. Thankfully, by 1882, the British government placed Newgrange under official protection. But true restoration wouldn't happen until the 1960s, when archaeologist Michael J. O'Kelly began a full-scale excavation. His work revealed hidden chambers, intricate carvings, and the legendary solstice alignment. After 11 years of research and reconstruction, Newgrange was fully restored in 1973, appearing much as it does today. Despite its significance, Newgrange remains surprisingly underrated. Each year, around 200,000 visitors walk its ancient passageways, compared to nearly 1.5 million people who visit Stonehenge. It doesn't have the same global recognition as the pyramids, Machu Picchu, or Petra, but it should. It's one of the greatest achievements of the ancient world, a structure built with astonishing precision by people whose names and stories have been lost to time. Yet, in a way, their voices still speak. Every winter solstice, as the first rays of sunlight creep down into the passage, their work comes alive once more. The same light that shone for them 5,200 years ago still illuminates the chamber, just as they intended. History moves forward. Empires rise and fall. Civilizations are built and forgotten, but Newgrange endures. If you found this deep dive into Ireland's most incredible monument fascinating, hit like, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you don't miss future videos. And let us know in the comments, what do you think Newgrange was really built for? A tomb? A calendar? A spiritual gateway? We'd love to hear your thoughts, and we'll see you in the next one.